I want you to walk into any bookstore and try to find the shelf for the book I'm about to describe. A thriller romance, metaphysical fantasy fiction, conspiracy theory-based historical fiction novel. Exactly. You can't find that on any shelf because the book I'm creating sits on a shelf that doesn't exist yet. And in this episode, I'm going to let you in on some of the themes I'm building this entire book, this entire world, this entire TV series around. And then you'll be able to see for yourself why I believe millions of readers around the world, including you, are waiting to go on this adventure with me. So in the last episode, I told you about the past life session that I had in February 2025 in the bookstore named after the mountain in Greece where stories originate from. What I didn't tell you is what happened in the days after that set of synchronicity started kicking off. I started making a list of all of the random metaphysical and culture obsessions that I've always been fascinated by that don't necessarily seem like they belong together in the same room. And I realized that they could actually all fit together in one story. And it's this story. So today I'm going to give you a peek into a couple of things on the list that wind up being a big idea in the plotline of Unbroken. And that's the code word I'm using as the title of this book while it's under development. Unbroken actually gives you a clue into the real title and one of the critical thematic elements that lives in the world I'm building through this story. Now to the list, here are the 5 of the thematically critical elements that I'm weaving into the book. Number 1, cosmic detective work. I have always been the person who cannot leave a pattern alone. I read Nancy Drew mystery novels growing up. I was obsessed with the TV show Veronica Mars. If you give me a mystery or something to solve in real life, if you give me a set of synchronicities with real clues, real happenings, and real places on Earth, I am going to track that thing down and find the connective tissue. And I'll disappear for days, weeks, chasing every rabbit down every absolute rabbit hole. So this story, Unbroken, runs on that same engine. Think ancient symbols, lost knowledge, a trail across real locations that you could follow with your own passport and travel money. Nothing in this book happens in some far-off, made-up fantasy land kingdom. The map that I'm using is real, and the characters in this book move about real places on Earth. The next thing on this list, number 2, mystical systems. Astrology, ancient calendars, sound healing. I've been studying these systems for years. And even though these systems were built by cultures that never met, that were separated by centuries, they always seem to have at least some element that overlaps with the other system in a way that lets me know that they're all cut from the same cloth. This underlying connection, this underlying common cloth is one of the greater unexplored mysteries of our species, and it's out there hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone to look into it more. So the connective tissue of this book is built on the layers of commonality within these mystical systems. Number 3 in this book, time travel. I'm not talking about like time machines or anything like that. I'm talking about past and future lives. The idea that souls, people and their souls, travel together in groups across time and across dimensions, and that stories don't always come to a natural conclusion just in one lifetime. So if you've ever had a past life session before or felt like a set of synchronicities unfold in a really wild way, like what happened to me in episode 2 of this show, then you already understand this element that's a key feature in this story. Now on to number 4 in the list. It's that age-old concept of we the people versus evil. Most of the stories I resonate with, they almost always have this running through their core in some way. It's why I'm passionate about following clues and so-called conspiracy theories. I've always been a champion of the underdog. I absolutely love seeing the heart of humanity stand up against the seemingly enormous power held by those who would strip humanity of our sovereignty. The powerful entities who believe they have the right to decide what we get to know and how we will live. So I'm not going to tell you who the evil character or evil group is in this book, but I will say this, that the crossover between fantasy and real life has never been more apparent on Earth at this time. So while this is a genre-bending category of story, there are elements that really are tracking to things happening in real life here on the planet right now. The final thing on this list today that I'm sharing is number 5, the music. There's this concept that runs from the ancient world all the way up into modern physics. The Greeks called it the music of the spheres. String theorists in physics describe the universe as being made of these vibrating strings. And cymatics shows us that sound literally arranges matter into geometric patterns that you can watch form in real time. So think about when you play music near water and the experiments that show that the water moves into these different varying geometric patterns that are either in harmony or in disharmony. So all the way from ancient mystics to quantum physicists are talking about and describing the same idea that reality may be actually at its foundation a symphony, music basically. So if you're thinking, cool, that's a great list, but who's the audience for this? Like, who would want to read about this? Well, I happen to think that the audience is every single human on Earth. I really think that this has mass appeal in that way. And I'm confident that once a person sees the connections that I'm uncovering that connect to the real life events happening on a global scale, like, I don't understand who wouldn't be in on it. Beyond that, if I was forced to niche this book, this TV series idea down, I would say more specifically the astrology and mysticism community, because they are one of the fastest growing cultural audiences in the world. Hundreds of millions of people who check the astrological transits pretty frequently to have a better understanding of what's going on in their lives at any given moment in time. And there's not enough serious commercial fiction built around the systems that this audience already loves. That shelf does not exist yet at the bookstore, but the readers for that shelf do exist. Being a book publisher myself, there's 3 authors, myself included, and 4 books out already under my publishing imprint. I am 110% confident that I am the publisher and showrunner who can serve that audience exactly the story they don't yet know that they've been dying to read as a book or stream as a show. So now you understand a bit more about the mysteries you'll be chasing right alongside me if you choose to comment, and subscribe to this show, The Making of Unbroken. In the next episode, episode 4, I go to school. Well, more like I take a masterclass on an airplane with the master himself, Dan Brown, a world-renowned author, and he's proven that you can take ancient mystery, real locations, secret knowledge, and a ticking clock and turn those elements into stories that the entire planet loves to read. And I studied what he's taught, and I'm hardwiring what I've learned into the pages of this novel. Like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you in episode 4.